Hey, what's up, everybody? I see a bunch of you guys on already. That is fantastic. My name is Dan from Explosified Fitness, also known as bulkingdiets.com and cuttingdiets.com. So, we're going to get started here in just a few minutes. This is our brand new webinar called Crafting the Perfect Bulking Diet for Massive Size. My name is Dan, like I said, and I am the co founder of Explosified Fitness. I know your time is extremely valuable. So what the plan is for today is to pack in as much information as we can. And I'm talking about extremely valuable information that you can take action on right away. So we're going to get started here in just a minute. Let's just see who's all on. Just maybe go into the chat, plug in your name, maybe where you're from, let us know. Okay, we've got Dave, Tim, I see is on, Brandon, Andy, Joe, Justin, Matt. What's up, Matt? Jason, John. We've got James, Eric, Jeremy, Will from Chicago, Rob. Rob looks like from New York. Cool. Tony, Mike, Kyle from Colorado, Ryan, Brian, Jacob, Nick. Wow, a bunch of you guys on. Okay. Dan, Chris, Josh. Okay. All right. We're going to get started here. Can you guys hear me okay? Just maybe plug in a quick yes into the box there, the chat box. Let me just know that you can hear okay. Okay, fantastic. All right. Well, we are going to get started. Like I said, jam packed with information today, but truly actionable items. So we're super, super excited that you're here. So here's a kind of a quick rundown of today's goals. We've got a lot to cover, but at the end of the day, we really wanted to show you how to craft the perfect bulking diet for massive size. We see a ton of people putting in all this effort at the gym, and they've got some muscle, but they're just not as big as they'd like to be. Right? We hear this all the time. It's a huge frustration a lot of people have. And a lot of these same people, they see these other guys at the gym who just look jacked, and it seems like almost effortlessly. They're putting in the same amount of time at the gym as other people, and that's what we want to help with today. We want to show you today what those other people are doing, so that you can get the same results as they are, right? If not better. And we want to make sure that you do that without adding a bunch of time to your day. We know that you're extremely busy. But through what we're going to cover today, you're going to walk away with much more concentrated effort, better results. You're going to be able to boost your energy. If you're in a plateau right now, or you think you might be coming up to one, you're going to be able to plow through that and really set this up on autopilot. And I don't mean just sitting back and doing nothing, right? Gaining muscle is not that easy, but we can put a lot of things in place, a lot of systems in place, so that the work that you're doing is really focused and concentrated, so you're not thinking about all of the things that are going into your muscle building diet. All right, so just stay tuned too. At the end, guys, there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming up. We're going to be doing a live Q&A for anything that you've got that is on top of your mind, whether it's a bulking question, could even be cutting question, whatever you want to talk about. We're going to be deep diving into that. You'll be able to have an opportunity to plug in your questions out there, and we'll go through some of those. And if you stick around to the end, there's a really cool download. It's 100 of the best foods that you should be eating right now for growth. It's going to be an extremely valuable tool. It's something you'll be able to download. You could print it out. You could have it next to your computer. You could put it up on the refrigerator, whatever is easiest for you. But it's something that really feel like it's something that you'll be able to keep with you, and it's evergreen, right? These kinds of foods aren't going away, but you've got to be incorporating these foods into your diet, and so that's a really big must have. So I'm just curious, what experience level are you guys at right now? I want to kind of understand who's in the room on the webinar today. Are you a beginner? Are you more on the intermediate side, professional? Okay, I see intermediate, beginner, intermediate, beginner, going pro. Okay, that's kind of cool. Beginner, intermediate. Okay, well, we've got a pretty good mix today, which is fantastic, right? I mean, that's really who we like to have that diversity in there. The topics that we're going to be covering today are fundamental principles that it doesn't matter your level of experience, you're going to get something out of this, I promise. So I'm super excited that you're here and just really excited for you to incorporate some of these strategies. All right. Before we even get into the content, I just want to make sure that you guys are comfortable that you're in the right place, because maybe you signed up for this webinar, you don't even remember what the whole topics were. But if you've ever felt like you were not gaining muscle as fast as you could be, then this is definitely going to be a webinar that is worth listening to. You're definitely in the right place. There's no doubt about that. If you've ever felt like you're just not big enough, you know how we feel sometimes. We get back from the gym, we feel good, we look good in the mirror, and then a couple hours go by, you don't have that same pump that you had maybe when you were at the gym or just as you were leaving the gym, and you just kind of are looking like, hey man, I'm really putting in a ton of effort here. What's going on? I really feel like I should be bigger, I should have more definition, size, and you're just not seeing it. If you've ever had those types of thoughts, you're definitely in the right place, because that's exactly what we're going to cover today. And if you're just not gaining muscle as fast as your gym buddies, I mean, you may have friends or even just guys or girls that you see at the gym who, you're there pretty much the same amount of time as them, but they just seem to be getting better results. There's a reason for that. That's not just a coincidence. It's not because they have better genes than you. There are specific reasons why they're gaining more muscle and they're more defined. And that's exactly, again, what we're going to cover today. So if any of those kind of, resonated with you, this is definitely the right training that you're going to want to listen to. And then the last one here, you're ready to quickly grow massive size without illegal substances. We do not condone steroid usage. None of what we're going to talk about has anything to do with steroids or anything illegal. It's not even going to have anything to do with supplements. Supplements have their place, but that's not what this focus is. If you're trying to get that, get muscle quick, kind of illegal type of, bad for your health types of scenarios, that's not what this is all about. But if you want to do this without all of that, then again, you're definitely in the right place. Like I said, if you're looking for a get muscle overnight scheme, not for you. If you're lazy or into using illegal drugs, or if you're, easily give up on things, then it's probably not the best use of your time to be part of this today. Just to give you a little bit of background, we don't have a tremendous amount of time to go into all the details about our history, but I am Dan, like I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar. I'm the co-founder of Explosified Fitness. Explosified Fitness is a fitness company, and we own two major brands, or a couple of other smaller ones that are up and coming, but the two primary ones that you might have heard of in the past would be bulkingdiets.com and cuttingdiets.com. And we're a pretty new company. We've been out there for a couple of years. We started in 2014, but we've already grown extremely fast. We're now one of the world's largest producers of meal plans in the world. And when I say large, I'm talking we do over 5,350 meal plan variations of different macro ratios, calorie targets for different body sizes and goals. There's all sorts of different variations that we do. And like I said, it's well over 5,300 in a year. So there, to our knowledge, there's not anybody else out there that is doing this scale that we're doing. And basically we've got a team of people who have a lot of experience in building lean muscle mass. And we use that experience to help people bulk up or lose weight. Today's webinar is really around gaining some size and definition. But that's not what we only focus on. We also help people lose weight, get cut, get shredded, get overall healthy. We do these in ways, like I mentioned earlier, without condoning steroid use, without condoning things that are bad for you. We do these strategies that help people get just extreme results, but in a way that is extremely healthy for your body. So that's a quick summary. I know we went through that really fast, and there's, I'm sure, a time and a place where we could get into a little bit more detail, but I really want to spend most of today's time not talking about us, but talking about you guys, what it is that you need to get accomplished, and we want to help you accomplish some of those goals. And so we're going to dive into that content here in just a second. Whoa! I don't know who this guy is, but this guy's pretty freaky looking, man. So we're going to have a quick contest before we get into the content. So the funniest caption wins a prize. I'll give you a second. Just go ahead and think about something. If you've got anything, you don't have to be a super funny guy. Just whatever you can think of, go ahead and put that into the chat box. We got some good stuff coming in. All right, here's the winner. It's from Nick, and he says, "My neck says, come at me, bro." Oh, man. Yeah, we all know these people. Big necks. It's got some good size on his arms, though. All right. We've got a promise for you today, and it's going to be how to effectively grow massive amounts of muscle week after week, month after month, without hitting plateaus. So there's going to be 3 simple steps that we're going to talk about today. We're going to walk through them one by one, but they're extremely simple. And you follow these 3 steps, I can almost guarantee that you're going to get the size that you want. We're going to get into the content right now. I really encourage you to take some notes, have some paper in front of you, maybe a pen so you can write a couple things down. There's not a ton of notes that you're going to want to take, but there are certain key takeaways that you're really going to want to have when we're done here. I also encourage you to close out your email, put away the cell phone. I know how distracting those devices are. I am on my phone a lot more than I probably should be, but I've got some stuff in here today that just really is going to help you with your gains, and you're just going to get a lot more out of this if you're engaged, taking notes, asking questions, away from the email. We're going to be to the point today. We're not going to go more than probably 45 minutes from right now, but it's going to be just a jam-packed 45 minutes of valuable content. And it's really hard to focus in on some of these principles if you're distracted. So I think you're going to get the most benefit by just kind of putting away those devices. We're going to show you specifically what's working. I'm talking about stuff that others have used to be extremely successful at building muscle. But because of the FCC, I know, my lawyer made me put this crap in, but you've got to know that results are going to vary, right? There's no guarantees in life. There's different variables, and you've got to know that. You've got to go in a little bit open-minded. And please, you really should be seeing your doctor regularly and be medically approved before you undertake any new diet program or exercise program. It's always best to clear it with them. We are not doctors, okay? And so you've got to make your own judgments, but just know that there are no guarantees, and you really should be medically approved before you undertake any new diet and exercise. All right, enough with the legal mumbo jumbo. Let's get into the content. Before we really talk about the strategies, you've got to set your own expectations. How much muscle should you be expecting? A lot of times people will come and they'll be like, hey, I'm gaining a pound of muscle a month. They're gaining more weight than that, but truly from, a body mass perspective of lean muscle, they're gaining about a pound a month. And they're like, I just don't feel like that's good. I don't feel like that's enough. It's not bad, right? But you can do a lot better. But how much better, right? There's going to be certain cases where people are gaining 3 to 4 pounds of muscle a month. Those are extreme cases also, okay? So where you really should be striving, and again, it's going to be different depending on where you're at in your journey. A brand new to bodybuilding, to weightlifting person is going to have a little bit easier time gaining muscle than a pro bodybuilder who's already been at it for 5-10 years. From a percent of weight and how much muscle you're gaining as a percentage, it does become increasingly difficult. But on average, you can do much better than what the average person is doing by following these principles. What we're going to show you today is how to get 20 to 25 pounds of muscle. I'm not talking about weight, okay? And I'm not talking about, weight for a specific reason. There could be a lot of fat built into that, right? And so what I'm talking about is, in fact, muscle. But things are going to vary. But if you're kind of curious around how much you could expect, if you follow these principles, a lot of our members follow these exactly, some of the principles that we're going to show you today, and they see 20 to 25 pounds, in some cases even more. And I'm talking, again, without steroid usage. If you do the steroid thing, that's where you're really going to get into some of those extreme cases. But again, that's not what this is about. One myth that I want to get into, and actually we've got a couple of more, but these are really important because you've got to understand that to build muscle, you can't believe everything that you hear. You see things on Facebook or Snapchat or Twitter, and people are talking and bragging about this and that, and there's all these myths, and they really don't know what they're talking about half of the time. And so you've really got to be a little bit aware of exactly what you're hearing. I'm not saying it's all bad advice. There's a lot of intelligent people out there, but think about it and use some of these next couple of myths to debunk some of them. There's a lot of science behind this stuff. We're not coming up with this, but it's really important in your bulking diet that you understand these. One of them is don't eat fruit, and that's just crazy, right? Of course you can eat fruit. Now, I'm not saying you should go out and eat as much fruit as you want, but fruit is extremely important to your overall health. We actually highly recommend you eat fruit. Again, it's got to be in the right context. It's got to be fit in with some of your older overall nutrition goals. But eating fruit, there's really nothing wrong with that, right? Myth number 2, don't eat before bed. Completely backwards, right? So not true. I mean, again, it's got to be within reason. I'm not saying eat a pound of bacon right before you go to bed, but your body goes into a somewhat of a fasting process when you're sleeping. I mean, if you go to bed at 10, you get up at 6, you get your 8 hours of sleep, that's great, but you're not eating for that 8 hours, right? You're probably used to eating every 3 hours, every 4 hours maybe, several meals a day, and you don't get that. My guess is you're not getting up in the middle of the night to go eat, right? That'd be kind of weird, right? Not judging you if you do. I know I don't, and I'm not encouraging you to do it. But what I am telling you is that there are ways to maximize your muscle growth so that your muscles don't, in a sense, eat themselves while you're sleeping, right? And I don't mean that literally, right? Your stomach can't eat your muscles, but your muscles can break down while you're sleeping. And so there are specific strategies of things to eat that are going to really help with that so that you get the most out of your gains. Myth number 3, the more you work out, the bigger you will grow. Now, again, there are context behind everything. Of course, somebody that works out for 30 minutes a day is going to be able to gain more muscle than someone that works out 1 minute a day, right? That's not what I'm saying here. But if you spend 23 hours in a gym, which is probably physically impossible, you're overtraining, right? And so there is some correlation, but the more you work out is not necessarily going to drive more results. And you've got to be aware of that. You've got to know that. And we're going to get into some of that in a little bit. There are much bigger areas of concentration that are going to affect your results and how much muscle you gain than just your workout. Workouts are important, but there's other aspects that are more important. We'll talk about some of that. Carbs are bad. No, especially for bulking, right? You need carbs. They've got to be the right kind of carbs, right? You don't want to have high GI carbs at the wrong times. You want to make sure that it fits within a ratio of other foods like proteins and fats. But carbs are great, like I said, especially when bulking. Now, there's good carbs and there's bad carbs, right? And there's also times where carbs are not going to be good at all. If you're trying to cut, for example, you're going to want to really scrutinize your carbohydrates more than when you're bulking. There's a different ratio of carbohydrates that you're looking for. The types of carbs that you're doing are probably very similar from bulking and cutting, but the amounts that you're intaking clearly are going to be a lot different. And so carbs are definitely not bad, especially for bulking. Lots of calories will make you fat. Not true, right? In certain cases, yes. Lots of calories could make you fat, but you need lots of calories to gain size. They've got to be the right kinds of calories, though. Performing endless reps of crunches will make you lose your gut. Abs are made in the kitchen. We didn't come up with this stuff, right, guys? I'm not trying to pass this quote along as one of our unique quotes. That's just not the case. This is an old quote. It's been out there for so many years, but it's exactly true, right? Crunches are not going to help you lose your gut. If you're bulking or if you're cutting, it doesn't matter. You probably want your abs to be defined, and crunches have a place. I don't even know if that guy's doing crunches, to be honest. I don't know what that guy's doing. It looks like he's fallen, can't get up or something, but you guys get the point. Myth number 7. You can eat anything during bulking season. You could, but that is extremely unhealthy. That's highly not encouraged. If you eat whatever you want while you're bulking, are you going to gain weight? You're going to gain weight, but you're going to have a heck of a time losing a lot of that fat right before summer, because you know what's going to happen. Summertime will come, and all of a sudden you'll want to trim down, and you're going to have a heck of a time doing that. It is strongly recommended that you don't do that. There are much better ways to gain muscle. You can gain muscle almost just as fast by following some of the principles that we're going to talk about, and then you don't have to worry about trying to lose a bunch of fat, right? Because this is what happens, right? No, you're not going to turn into a short, fat little 4-year-old, but you don't want to have to worry about all that fat, right? If you're going for that look, then maybe, but you're probably not. You wouldn't be on this webinar learning about how to gain the most size. If you were just trying to gain weight, you really might not care about how to gain mass, right? There's a big difference. And so, that's what we really want to get into today. So definitely don't agree with eating whatever you want when you're bulking. Myth number 8, the biggest myth of them all. Exercise and supplements are more important than nutrition. No. Even if that were true, which is not, are you really going to give up your health just to gain muscle? I mean, come on. That's probably just not practical, right? Do you want to die at 50 just because you wanted to give up on being healthy? No. I mean, we want to look good. We want some size. I get that. But we also should want to be healthy, right? There's so much importance. We want to be around for a long time. We want to be there for our families, for our kids, and for ourselves, right? And so we can't put exercise and supplements above nutrition. All of them have their place. They're all extremely important. That's why they're on the pyramid to begin with. But if you think about exercise and supplements as being more important than nutrition, you're going to have issues later on in life, and that's really not the right way to be thinking about it. In reality, you should be thinking about nutrition as number 1. Again, the other two are extremely important. You need exercise, and there's definitely a place for supplements. There's no doubt about that. But this is not hard of a concept. Nutrition is the number 1 thing that's going to affect your results. There was the Iron Guru, Vince, back, I don't remember what year this was, but years ago, he said body sculpting is 80% diet. And if you have your diet down first, the rest is moot. It's exactly right. He's got it spot on. Don't mistake being muscular for being healthy. I think that's the key takeaway here. There's a big difference. Okay, you can be muscular and completely unhealthy. And don't forget that. Nutrition's got to come first. But if you do nutrition the right way, then the growth is going to come. The mass is going to come. And so you've just got to make sure that your priorities are in the right order. This one is extremely important. This is probably one that I would highly recommend that you write down. Total calories dictate how much you lose or gain. And macronutrient ratios dictate what you lose or gain. And we'll talk about calories here in a little bit, and we'll talk about macronutrient ratios here in a little bit. But again, what you have to remember, and I'll say it again, that the total calories dictate how much you gain. You can gain a lot of weight or you can lose a lot of weight. And that's going to a lot of that be dependent upon how many calories you're intaking, right? But what you gain, whether that's muscle or fat, is going to be dictated by your macronutrient ratio. It's extremely important. If someone eats 4,000 calories a day of pizza and he lifts heavy, they're going to look physically a lot different than someone that eats 4,000 calories a day of lean proteins like chicken and healthy fats and carbs and all of those other good foods for you, like the avocados and whole grain rice. Two totally different body physiques you're going to end up with, even though you're eating the same amount of calories. Okay? And so that's what's extremely important. Pizza does not equal healthy foods. Okay. So now we're going to get into step 1 of 3. These are very quick steps, but I can't stress the importance of them enough. If you eat too little, guys, you're not going to make gains. Okay, I promise you that. You'll look scrawny, and if you eat too much, you're going to gain fat, and especially if you eat too much of the wrong foods like we talked about. So it's extremely important that you take the time to work this out. Don't get overwhelmed by these equations. I want to show you, and I'm going to run through this real fast because I want to show you that there really is a science behind this. But there's also a lot of complexity here. And in a second, I'm going to show you a really easy way. So you don't have to write down all these formulas. You don't have to memorize any of this. But just know that there is a right way to determining how many calories to eat. And there's different formulas. This one's based off of the Harris-Benedict formula. There's other formulas that'll get you a slightly different but pretty dang close representation of what this one is. They all have a little bit different nuances, but at the end of the day, they're all getting to the same thing, that there's a science behind here based off of things like your weight, your height, how much activity you're doing, whether you have a desk job or you're working out like crazy. And to be honest, there's a certain amount of calories you need just to survive. Your body needs just to pump blood and to have, mental capacity and all the things that you need to do to, inhale and just have those bodily functions. There's a calorie burn associated with that. And you've got to make sure you're eating enough. If your goal is to bulk, you've got to make sure you're eating more than enough, right, to account for all this. I'm going to show you a super easy way, though. So again, you don't have to memorize any of this. We've got a really cool tool. It's on our website. I'll actually give you guys the link here in a little bit. So just don't go there now. Just, kind of bear with me here for a second. But our calculator does that all for you. You'll be able to go, for example, if you're a guy, you can go over on the left side. If you're a girl, you go over to the right side and plug in your weight, your age, your height, your activity level, what your goal is. Like I said, cutting is much different than maintaining, which is also much different than bulking. You plug all that into our tool, you're going to get an exact calorie count for what you should be eating for all of those. Okay, it's super easy. It spits it all out for you. You never have to think about all those mathematical equations that we talked about. And you don't have to keep listening to the people in the gym that you're talking to. You may ask someone how much they're eating, and you may try to mimic that. But you know what? Their body type might be totally different than yours. Or they may be older than you or taller than you, or they might be doing it wrong to begin with. So don't do what they're doing. Follow the science behind it. Follow our online calculator. This will show you for your goal what it is that you should be doing. Now, for today's purposes, I can get you pretty close. If you just take out, a quick sheet of paper and, let's just say that you were 200 pounds. We'll go down to the bottom. Just say that your goal was extreme weight gain. You're going to need 4,000 pounds. Simple math. You just take your weight times the center section right there, calories per pound. So in this case, the extreme weight gain, 20 times 200 equals 4,000. So this will get you real close. The point here, though, one of the key takeaways to note is that this is the same 200-pound person in this example. But notice how different their calories are, whether they're trying to lose weight compared to if they're doing an extreme bulk. You're talking anywhere from 1,800 all the way up to 4,000 calories. So there's a big spread here. And so I really encourage you not to guess at this. Don't listen to those guys in the gym or girls in the gym or what your buddies are doing. They may not be doing it right. Use our calculator for right now, for today. Just jot it down. Do yours. What are you trying to do? Maybe a slight greater weight gain. You're not trying to go, too crazy. We'll take, maybe it says 16 to 18. Maybe you pick somewhere in the middle. Just so put 17 times your weight, and you'll come up with a calorie range. And so in this case, if you were doing a greater weight gain, multiply 17 by 200, you're right there at about 3,400 calories. So boom, I would write that down. That'll come into play here in a little bit. But the point is here, you don't need to guess. You can use our online calculator. You can get it even a more precise one, but this will get you a little bit close. All right, we're going to get into step number 2 here. Let me just take a quick sip of water. Okay. This is even more important, this section right here. We just talked about calories, and that is extremely important. I don't want to downgrade the importance of how much you're eating. But now we need to get into the piece about what it is we're eating, because we want to make sure that what we're eating turns our gains into muscle and not into fat, right? So a lot of people, they focus only in on calories. They say, hey, I'm eating 3,000 calories a day. Okay, yeah, that's great for you. I don't know what that means. Is that good or bad? I mean, they barely even blink an eye about what they're eating. If you ask them what macro ratio they're doing, they have no idea 9 times out of 10. And you may not either, and that's okay, because that's why you're here today. You're here to educate yourself so that you can take these principles and go out and just multiply your gains compared to what you're getting today. This piece is just extremely important. Before I get into how to do all this, I just want to take a quick second to introduce macro ratios to those of you that aren't familiar with it. It's really simple. It's just a ratio of the types of food you're eating, the content, how much fat, protein, and carbohydrates. What ratio of fat, protein, and carbohydrates are you eating? That's what a macro ratio is. And you can read it at the bottom. Macronutrition ratios are the percentage of carbs, protein, and fat that you will eat. It's that simple. Again, this graph is just a third, and a third. That's not really recommended. That's not what we would say you should be eating. You wouldn't want that split. I just wanted to show you that it's about ratios. It's about percentages of your total calorie intake. But in order to know what ratio, you've got to understand a couple of things, and that's what we're going to get into now. So the 2 important pieces to know while picking a macro ratio would be, what is your body type? There's different body types out there. One's not necessarily better than the other. We're all just built a little bit different. So you've got to know what body type you are. I'm going to help you select that here in a second, because that's a big contributor to what ratio you really should be eating to maximize your gains. Because if you're a super skinny guy and you have a hard time gaining weight, it's a lot different than if you are a type of person who gains fat really easy. You're a little bit overweight to begin with, or you just maybe you're pretty healthy right now. Your body fat percentage is right mid-range to where you want it to be, but you know that you can gain fat easily. Completely different from that skinny guy, right? So we've got to keep that in perspective. So you've got to know the body type, and you've got to know what your goal is. Are you cutting? Are you trying to maintain? A lot of you might be bulking. That's what a lot of this is about gaining that size and definition to set yourself up for, a future cut. But nonetheless, regardless of your goal, you've got to know what it is. There's going to be 3 major body types. As we go through these, I'm going to highlight some of them. You're probably going to be able to identify with one of them. There's some overlap, right? I mean, you can't fit everybody's body type into just 3, but these are the 3 major ones. And so you'll find that you fit primarily into one of these. I encourage you, write this down. You already wrote down how many calories you should be eating. Write down which body type you are. This is body type 1, but we're going to cover body type 2 in a second, and then 3. And I think it's really important that you identify with one of these and write it down. It's going to come into play here in a couple minutes. But type 1, and don't worry so much about the formal name endomorph. That's really not that important. Just write down type 1 for right now. But you'll associate yourself with this if you're gaining fat pretty easily. You know, you've got kind of a stockier build just by nature, a little bit more of a round physique. You have a hard time losing fat. You know, maybe you can't really, you know, your muscles aren't very well defined. I hate to use that one because sometimes you could be in this body type and your muscles are defined, but maybe you just had to work really hard for it. So the last check mark on there, you know, doesn't necessarily make or break this one. But if you really kind of gain fat easily, that's really what the benchmark would be to classify yourself as type 1. Now type 2, a little bit more athletic, right? You're typically, you know, what some people would call a hard body. You've got more defined muscles, a little bit more rectangular shape, strong, gains muscle pretty easily. You can gain some fat, but it's generally not a super big issue for you. That's what we would consider a type 2. Type 3 is your hard gainer. It's just you're smaller by nature. You're thin. You've got lean muscles. You know, you find it really difficult to gain weight. I would say that one just really hits the nail on the head. If you have a hard time gaining weight, I would classify yourself and write down a type 3. And now we actually apply that. This is a really cool chart because it summarizes up exactly the macro ratios that you should be doing. Type 1, a little bit, you know, thicker. Type 2, more athletic. Type 3, a little bit skinnier. All three of them are on here. You already wrote down on your sheet of paper one of the three, right? So you look at what your goal is. So if you're a type 1 and you want to bulk up, you really should be focusing a macro ratio M1. That's 30% protein, 40% carbohydrates, 30% fat. I'm just using that as an example. If you take a look at the bottom right, so if you're type 3, you're skinny, slender, you have a hard time gaining weight, but you really want to bulk up, you really need to be looking at an M2 ratio. It gives you more carbs, you know, a little bit less fat, but those extra carbs is really going to help you get to where you need to bulk up. It's that simple, really. I mean, this is just so important. I can't stress it enough. And your goals might change, right? And your body type's not going to change, but your goals are going to change. And so as you go throughout the year and you're thinking about where you want to be in 4 months, maybe even 2 months, what does that end state look like? And you'll use this chart to really understand how to structure your macro ratios, because this is really going to be what dictates how much you gain or lose. I'm sorry, of what you gain or lose. That's what we talked about earlier. Are you going to gain fat or are you going to gain muscle? Because if you gain fat easily and you dive into something like an M2, it's too much carbs for you, right? And so that's why this is so important. It's really going to dictate what you gain. And ideally, you're probably wanting to gain muscle and not fat. And that's probably why you're on here today, right? And so just extremely important. And yeah, so I would go ahead and write down your type and we'll get in here to the next step. Okay. We've learned a lot so far, right? We know exactly how much we should be eating. You know, we know what macro ratio we should be eating at. But we've got to put it all together because that can be pretty complex, right? We don't want to be tracking foods on an app. We don't want to be, you know, going through spreadsheets and trying to create the perfect bulking diet, right? There's a lot of work there. And so what we're going to get into right now is I want to show you a little bit about how to figure this out. I want to show you how to do it manually so that you can do it on your own, just on paper, if you do choose to do that. And then I'm going to show you a super easy way to just make sure all your calorie requirements and your macro nutrition requirements are hit without having to think, without having to calculate, without having to track, without having to do anything, all on autopilot. And so real quick, let's just get into one thing that I want to remind you of. It's what we talked about earlier. This is so important, but it's a perfect segue. Again, we figured out how many calories to eat. Okay, that was the first step. So now we know exactly how to gain weight or lose weight. And we now know what macronutrient ratio we are, because that's going to dictate that, hey, if we pick the right ratio, we're going to gain muscle, we're not going to gain fat. So that was extremely important. We figured out those two things, and we can combine them now for just some strategies that are going to just excel your muscle growth. It's just so exciting to think about what you can really do when you follow these principles. When you're this precise, and again, I'm going to show you just a super easy way to be this precise here in a couple minutes, but when you are this, it is amazing at what results you get. I mean, you're going to be blown away when you look in the mirror and you see pictures of yourself in 30, 60, 90, even plus days from now. It's going to be so night and day difference. It's just really exciting. So yeah, I encourage you to stay on the rest of this webinar, because at the end, you're going to get this free bonus. It's going to be a complete guide of the types of foods you're going to eat. So stick around for that. That's going to be a really good bonus for you. We've got the Q&A coming up also. So, all right. I'm going to get into some specifics here, but you don't have to write any of this piece down. What I wanted you to write down earlier was how many calories you should be eating and at what macro ratio. I'm going to just spend a quick minute to show you the mathematical way to figuring out, now that you know calories that you should be eating and what ratio you should be eating it at. I'm going to show you how to now determine, by looking at nutrition labels, how to figure out what ratios you're actually eating at so you can craft a perfect bulking diet. I want you to understand the concepts of it, but I don't want you to actually have to manually calculate that all out. So after I go through the next couple of slides, I'm going to show you a super simple, easy way to just make all this happen, again, on autopilot without having to consume your time, take up anything in your brain about trying to calculate and understand and running all these mathematical formulas that we talked about. That was a lot of work, right? And so we want to make sure that we can bypass that. We've got an easy path to do that. But let me just show you this real fast. Protein, all you really need to know here is that 1 gram of protein is going to be 4 calories. Carbohydrates, 1 gram is 4 calories also. So it's very similar to protein. They each have 4 calories per gram. Fat, a little bit different. Every gram of fat has 9 calories. And so there's a big difference here. Let's use an example so that you can work this math and you can understand how to come up with this, again, manually. And I don't necessarily encourage you to do this, but it's important that you understand where this comes from and how this is all calculated. But as an example, this is a nutrition label, nutrition facts from a Greek yogurt. And it happens to have, as you can see there with the red stars, it's got 2 grams of fat, it's got 22 grams of carbohydrates, and 9 grams of protein. So that's the top row there. You can see 9, 22, and 2. And then you've got the number of calories per gram that we talked about. Protein is 4, carbs are 4, and fat is 9. All you do is multiply that out. 9 times 4 is 36. Pretty easy math, right? Basic algebra. You multiply the carbs, you multiply the fat out. And then you look at, hey, I've got 142 calories. Now, I know it doesn't match exactly. You can see the nutrition label is 150, but it's pretty dang close, right? There's some rounding. The nutrition labels don't have decimals on all of them, especially as a high-level category. It could be 2.1 grams of fat, or carbohydrates might be 22.1 grams of carbohydrates, right? So there's some rounding there, but reasonably, this is going to get you pretty dang close. And all you're doing is saying, hey, okay, well, if I had 36 calories of protein and there's 142 total calories, that's 25%. So my macro ratio for Greek yogurt is 25% protein, 62% carbs, and 13% fat. Not rocket science, but very labor intensive. Imagine trying to figure all of that out manually with paper, pen, or Excel or even trying to plug all these foods into an app, that's a lot of work, right? So bear with me here. I'm going to show you guys a really quick, simple, easy way to figure all that out. So if I lost you, don't worry about it. Post-workout nutrition is extremely important. I highly stress that you need to be thinking about post-workout nutrition. This is the one and only time that high GI carbs are encouraged. I'm not going to get into all the science behind it, but there is a lot of studies out there that will show that you should be eating at a 2-to-1 ratio. 2 high GI carbohydrates for every 1 gram of whey protein. Okay, so you eat at that ratio, and you're going to extremely help yourself out. This is, like I said, the one and only time that you're going to want to eat high GI carbs. Basically, during the workout, your hardworking muscles use glucose and glycogen. As a result, your blood glucose levels and glycogen levels get low. Wow, that was a mouthful, right? So a proper post-workout drink is going to prevent the hormone cortisol from eating up muscle tissue. So all that is a bunch of science mumbo jumbo that is saying, guys, you've got to refuel your muscles. You've got it during the workout, or at the very least right after the workout, because you can split up your post-workout drink. You can drink half of it during the workout if you want, but it's an extremely important meal. It's probably the most important meal of the day, and this is the ratio you want to be eating it at. Now, a high GI carb, again, I won't get into all the science. You can find that in a lot of different foods. Some of the most popular ones are definitely on the sugars, like glucose, dextrose, maltodextrin. Those are some of the best ways to get a high GI carb. I wouldn't recommend things like maltodextrin and the glucose/dextrose. I wouldn't recommend those on a normal basis. You really wouldn't want to be utilizing those foods. Even though, like I said, how important carbohydrates are, especially for bulking, those are not the right kinds of carbohydrates, except for during your post-workout nutrition. For post-workout, extremely beneficial. This is a great time to be taking it. You're going to raise your blood sugar levels, bring up that insulin very quickly, and it's just extremely important. The other extremely important part is your before bedtime nutrition. We already debunked one of the myths earlier in the webinar when one of the myths said, do not eat before bed. That is wrong. Your body, like we talked about, it's going to go into a fasting state during sleep. And you've got to make sure you've got some kind of slow breakdown protein like casein to really help keep those muscles fueled all night long while you're sleeping. Basically, a slow protein like casein, if you consume it, around bedtime, like I mentioned, it's gonna maintain your amino acid levels sufficiently to basically cancel out the catabolic effect of fasting on your muscles while we sleep. So again, another mouthful there. There's a lot of science behind that, but it's basically going to help you to not have muscle breakdown while you're sleeping. All right, so why not invest in your nutrition? We talked about the average person. They think that exercise is number one. They put supplements as number two. They put nutrition as number three. So why do so many people do that? Well, they're uneducated. They're not like you. You're taking the steps to learn to educate yourself on the right way to do this. That's why you're on this webinar today. You've gone through this training. You understand that a true mass gainer is going to put nutrition on top of that pyramid. It's the number one most important thing that they can do. But it's not enough just to know it, right? You've got to implement this, right? You've got to implement some of these strategies. And I'm going to now go through with you a very easy way to do that. Because for the last few minutes, we've really been talking about some pretty complex stuff, right? There's a lot of math involved in calculating out the number of calories, and I try to help you by giving you a tool to quickly calculate that. But when you start getting into macro ratios, it's a lot of work, right? And so that's why a lot of people don't focus on their nutrition. It's just too much work. If they want the fast pass, which just can be, they don't want to do the work, so they pop a few pills, like a steroid or supplements, and they consume these things. And again, supplements have their place, but they're consuming these supplements that really aren't doing a lot of work. I mean, have you ever felt like that? Like you're taking something because somebody else told you about it, but you really don't know if it's helping that much. It might be, but you really just don't know. I mean, that's probably not a good strategy, right? And that's a lot of money that you're spending on things that may or may not be working, right? But I agree, that was a lot of work. And so, we want to make sure that you leave here today with a much easier way to do all that. So you can get all the results of all the benefits that we talked about, but without having to do all of that work and calculations that we went through. So if you were to navigate your bulking diet, it's a lot like a minefield. Every wrong step could be a major blow to your body, right? And in this case, your health, right? So I guess the big key question here is, what is the smartest way to successfully navigate a minefield? It's a map, right? I'm going to give you that map. I want to make sure that you don't have to worry about that minefield. The minefield in this case is all the calculations. I want to help you every step of the way, because there is a lot of muscle to be gained out there, and you can do it in a reasonable amount of time, but you've got to be able to have the right tools to do that, and I'm going to give you that tool. This is the map, guys. I want to introduce to you the bulkingdiets.com meal plans. This is no calorie counting, no fuss, no thinking. It's basically complete step-by-step system that's going to take everything that we just learned, all the calculations, all the mathematical equations and decisions around, how to calculate your macro ratios, and it's going to put everything on autopilot for you. I mean, seriously, if you want to know what the pros are doing and why they're able to gain the amount of mass that they're gaining, if you've ever been curious what those pros are doing, you have found it. They are eating right. Okay, they are putting nutrition as number one on that pyramid. And so, yeah, I mean, there's no better time to invest in something like this than, right now. And I think that this, and we'll get into how some of this works here, but this does all of that legwork for you. Again, no calorie counting, no food tracking, no fuss, which means, you don't have to worry about what to eat. You don't have to think about what's for dinner. You don't have to do any of those formulas. You don't have to do anything. We've done all that work for you. Everything. So just imagine, gaining massive amounts of muscle using those strategies that we talked about today, but without any of the work, without any of the thinking or the calculations. You guys don't need to work harder. You've got enough stress in your life. Working harder is not the answer. So working smarter is. So why not invest in nutrition? Earlier in today's discussion, we talked about how important nutrition is. We showed you the pyramid. I laid out for you that nutrition is number one. So why not invest? Why not have meal plans be that number one? It's that easy. The reason why a lot of people spend so much on supplements each month, like we talked about, is they're uneducated. They don't know. They don't understand the importance of nutrition, but they're also struggling to gain muscle, right? The people that are really gaining the size are the people that are putting nutrition as number one. These meal plans are going to save a lot of money. Like we talked about a little bit earlier, you don't really know what's in those supplements. Some of them are worthy, some of them may be working, but I guarantee there's probably some supplements that you're taking that you just don't know if they're working, and you question yourself, and you're spending money, and if you're going to spend that much money, you may as well get a result out of it, an immediate result too. And you just can't get that. And so these meal plans can help you really reduce the need for most, in some cases, all supplements. A lot of our community members eliminate all of their supplements. It's going to save you a tremendous amount of time. I mean, without having to plan any meals or do any calorie counting, you don't have to make out grocery lists anymore or look through recipes or a cookbook. You don't have to do any of that stuff. It saves up a ton of time. And you can use that time for anything, hanging out with family, hanging out with friends, more personal time. I mean, it just adds so much more time to your life to do whatever it is that you want to do with it, basically. And it gives hassle-free dinner. Maybe you have kids, maybe you don't have kids. Either way, dinner time can be a hassle. For me and my household, it's a hassle. It was a hassle before these meal plans. The kids would always ask, "What's for dinner?" or "I don't like that," or none of those conversations happen anymore. I mean, the whole family can eat dinner together. You guys could be eating foods that are healthy. They're already at the right ratios. You may be eating more food than your kids, obviously, but these are healthy recipes that the whole family can enjoy. And it doesn't matter if you're cooking for one, if you're cooking for two, if you're cooking for a whole family, it doesn't matter. These meal plans can help you get there so you don't have to worry about that, hassle of some of that dinner time. And it's super easy. There's only two steps. There's only two things you have to do to make this happen. You have to pick your calorie target and you have to pick your macro ratio. You've already done both. If you were following along, you've already written on your sheet of paper how many calories you should be eating. So that step is done. I helped you walk you through your body type and your goal, and you picked a macro ratio. So the two things that you need to make these meal plans successful is already done. You did it today. We've done the rest. We've done the meal planning. We've combined the right foods into the right ratios so that you've got that all laid out at your fingertips, regardless of what your calorie target was and regardless of your macro ratio. So it's super, super easy. Just to be clear on exactly what I'm talking about, it's customized meal plans delivered to your email every single week. So you sit back and you just let the meal plans come in. They come in every single Wednesday. You don't have to plan any single meal. You don't have to think about anything. But let me just show you a little bit about it. I know this picture is a little bit hard. I'm going to move an actual meal plan up to the screen. Can you guys see that okay? Good. Looks like most of you guys can see that good. This is just an example, but I wanted to be able to show you here how these meal plans are laid out. It's pretty simple. There's a dashboard. At the top of the dashboard, you're going to have your macros for the week. You'll know exactly how many grams of protein, how many grams of carbs, how many grams of fat. You'll know the exact ratio. You'll know how many average calories per day you're eating. And you're going to have, at the bottom left, a complete listing of all the dinners. This is great. What I do for my family is I print this out. I put it up on the refrigerator on Sunday night so everybody in the whole family knows exactly what we're eating for the week. It's there. Nobody has to think. We know what we're going to be having for lunch. My whole family eats these. Again, different proportions. I eat way more than my family eats. But all of it is laid out. Everybody can see it. You can pull this up on your phone if you're just curious. You want to know what's going on for the week. Boom, it's at your fingertips. You get the grocery list. So every week, you'll know exactly what you need to go get. And it's super fast at the grocery store. We were talking about earlier saving time. This is a huge time saver. You don't have to create any grocery lists. And when you do go to the grocery store, everything is already bucketed by category. So it's super easy. You go into the canned good aisle and boom, you get X, Y, Z. Everything is all right there in order. You're not jumping all around the grocery store. You're in and out. For me, it takes 10 minutes. That's it. And you've got an approximate price on here. So, you don't have to worry about, well, how much is this going to cost me in groceries? It's not exact, right? I've got no way to get exact. We've got no way to put together or know where you shop or what the prices are in your hometown. But this gets you, relatively close. We use national averages, things like that. And so you have a general feel for how much the meals will cost you for that week. Now we get into the actual meal plan. And you can see how detailed they are. This walks you through the exact recipe you need. You don't have to guess. And I'm telling you, these ingredients are all things that are super easy to find. You're not going to find weird ingredients on here that you have no idea what aisle they're in. This is all clean, healthy food. It's going to help you build mass. It's not to complicate your life, right? We're trying to do just the opposite. We're trying to simplify your life. So we lay it out here very, very detailed. Everything is color coded. So you could just even glance at this. You see that, hey, in step 2 is green. You can quickly find all the ingredients you need in green. It's all color coded for you. So when you're in the kitchen making these dinners or whatever, it's super fast for you. We've got the post-workout nutrition. We talked about how important that was a few minutes ago. All the recipes you need with those high GI carbs and the whey protein, all listed on here. It varies every week to keep things fresh. You get a new smoothie every week so that you've got these foods that are packed with nutrients. You get snacks to keep things fresh, keep your body fueled throughout the day. You've got a new lunch every single week, and you get a new dinner every single day of the week. So that really helps keep that variety in your life. No more just eating plain chicken breasts every single day. The before bedtime snack, super, super important. We talked about the casein protein, how important that was so your muscles don't break down when you sleep. That's all on here. So we've encompassed all of those different foods that you need to gain the size that you want, right? And if you're ever curious about the nutrition facts, every single recipe that you see on here has nutrition facts. So if you see a meal and you eat it and you're like, wow, that was amazing, I wonder how many calories that was. Boom, you've got it on here. You know exactly what you're eating. All right. Like we talked about, if you're sick of eating the same things every day, this is definitely going to also be something that's perfect for you. You don't have to worry about dry chicken breasts anymore. It's all on autopilot. The right foods, and they're all set up for you so you don't have to calculate or do anything. Let's run through a quick example. This example was, okay, so let's just assume that you're bulking, right? And you're going to be eating, you figured out how many calories you need, and let's say you're going to be at an M1, 3,500 calories. Well, your body is going to change over time, right? You're not going to want to stay at that combination your whole bulking season, right? As your body grows, you're going to need more calories. These meal plans are a way to do that. You would just simply go into your account. It's it takes less than probably maybe 30 seconds to log into your account and switch your calories to say 3,500 calories, 3,700 calories. So instead of 3,500, you want to go to 37. It's literally that quick. It's a flip of the switch, a simple selection of the dial, and you're good to go. Cutting season comes around, you drop down to an M0 ratio. Now you're at, say, 2,600 calories. That's good. You're losing some weight. You're starting to get ripped. You want to lose a little bit more weight. Your body weight has come down, so you have to adjust your calories. Maybe you go down to 2,200 calories. You can do that. You want to drop down to 1,900 calories. You can do that. All of these combinations are available to you. So as your body changes, as your goals change, you just go into your account, you flip the lever and say, hey, instead of this, I want that. And the next week, your meal plans come in at that. It's that simple. It's super fast, super flexible. And that way you've got one plan that gets you everything that you need as your body changes. And if you don't like a particular food, no big deal. As soon as you sign up, you get a substitution list. You'll be able to quickly identify a food that you don't like and find something that is very similar in calories and macro ratios so you don't screw up, the calorie target you're trying to hit. Super easy, super flexible, and you've got that diversity. So if there's a food, like I said, that you don't like, boom, you just swap it out. No big deal. You look at the substitution list, you find something you do like, and you move on. Doesn't matter what your goal is. If you're trying to gain some serious size like the guy on the left, boom, done. No big deal. It's that easy. You go in, you select the bulking plan. You want to get ripped, summertime is coming, you're trying to shed some pounds of fat, no big deal. You go into your account, you select the cutting plan. It's a flip of the switch. What body type do you want? That's what you select in there. Done. It's done for you. You don't have to do anything. You've got that level of flexibility where you never have to think about this stuff again. You only have to think about what body type you want. You set it, the meal plans come to you, you eat it, and all of a sudden you get those results that you're looking for. Now, this is not rocket science, right? We didn't come up with the methodologies and the mathematics on how to calculate your calories, how to determine macro ratios. We didn't determine any of that. Trainers and nutritionists have been doing this for years, right? But it's super expensive traditionally. If you go through a trainer, you go through a nutritionist, they can help you build similar meal plans. They may not be laid out, as nice and as simple and clean to read, but they can do this for you. But it is really expensive. You're probably going to pay over $100 a month. In some cases, it's probably a lot more than $100 a month. But even at $100 a month, that's $1,200 per year. Bulking only meal plans. If you just bought bulking meal plans and you go to our website today and you sign up for, say, like a month-to-month plan, you would be looking at $225 per year. That's a huge savings from the trainer. But for today, over the next 15 minutes, we've got a webinar special. The webinar special is $97 for the entire year. Again, it's 15 minutes only. It's going to be all of those meal plans that we talked about. You get customized meal plans every single week, and it's $97 for the entire year. That's like one visit to go see a nutritionist. It literally, one nutritionist visit is going to basically pay for your entire year of these bulking and cutting meal plans. I mean, think about it. It comes out to like a little bit over a quarter a day. So to be able to gain size and have this efficiency in your life for a quarter a day, I mean, it's a really small investment considering you're probably already paying a lot more than that in supplements that, like we talked about, may or may not be making a difference. It's hard to tell sometimes, right? So for a quarter a day, this is a pretty small price to pay. But for the $97 for this webinar special, again, you're going to get a lot more than just the weekly meal plans. We've thrown in a bunch of free bonuses. We've got these special workouts. These aren't just any workouts either. This comes with an interactive Excel spreadsheet where you plug in your weight, or how much weight you lifted, how many reps, and you get all sorts of cool charts and graphs. You'll be able to monitor your progress, be able to show progression. These bulking workouts are awesome. This is going to really maximize your time in the gym. I mean, you do not need to be spending more than 45 minutes, maybe an hour, but all of these workouts are designed to be done in 45 minutes. You can do some extended ones. If you're spending more than 45 minutes in the gym, you're not being efficient, you're probably talking too much. These workouts are going to get you in and out and are going to get you the results that you want. Like I said, the tracking mechanism in these workouts alone through the Excel integrated piece of it is just amazing. We've laid it out really nice looking. If we had more time, I would show it to you, but it's just an amazing tool. We also have a free ebook, very easy read. I don't know how many pages it is. I think it's around 35, no more than 40. Basically, we took hundreds of hours worth of research and put it all into this very quick, easy to read manual. Between the workouts and the meal plans, you probably don't even need this, but if you really want to get more detail on anything, this ebook sums up everything you need to know about bulking. Cardio, if you're curious about cardio, this free report, it's included in today's webinar special. It's going to tell you everything you need. It's got the cardio that you should be doing. It talks about how much to do. You don't want to be doing too much cardio when you're bulking. It's going to affect your ability to grow mass. It is important. Cardio's definitely got its place. And this report gets into some of those benefits, but in a little bit more detail than we have time for today. But what it really does is it gives you the exact workouts you should be doing for cardio. And again, so that you don't do too much, it walks you through that. You get a calorie calculator. This is helpful. Like I said, your body changes, so it's nice to be able to have something you can pull up on your phone and just quickly plug in your new stats to get that new calorie target. Because you'll probably end up adjusting your calorie targets several times throughout the course of a year as your body changes, your goals change, things like that. And the fifth and final bonus, which is actually the biggest bonus, I kind of saved the best for last here, is cuttingdiets.com membership. When you buy a bulkingdiets.com membership for today's webinar special, you're going to get a cuttingdiets.com membership as well. So you're really getting two memberships in one, all for that $97 price. So with the Cutting Diets membership, you get all of basically the same things that you would in a bulking membership, just tailored for cutting. So you get a cardio guide, but it's a cardio for cutting specific. You get cutting workouts. There's even a macro report that goes into a lot more detail on those macro ratios we were talking about earlier today. It just goes in, it's a quick read, but it goes into a lot of detail around how to calculate that and why macros are so important. And the cool piece is it doesn't really matter what you look like today, right? This is for everybody. Because these principles work no matter what, it really doesn't matter if you're a beginner lifter and you're just trying to get jump started into this bulking world, or if you're an intermediate lifter and you just want to kind of blast through maybe a plateau that you're in, or maybe you're a pro bodybuilder and you just are kind of sick of the same regimen. You want to mix up your food intake, get a little bit more variety. It doesn't really matter. This is going to give you what you need no matter what stage you're in, and it's going to grow with you. The one thing I can say, again, we talked about the price earlier being a little bit more than a quarter a day. It really is, again, it's I want to just reiterate how minimum of an investment it is. It's a scoop of protein per day from a cost perspective, so it's very small, but it's like that today. You can lock in that price for life today on today's webinar for that $97. This isn't like your Comcast cable bill where it's an introductory rate and then a year from now or even 6 months from now they jack up your bill. If you decide to stay on for multiple years, which most people do because they love our meal plans, you'll never pay more. You're going to be locked into this $97 for the entire year, and that's never going to go up. Okay, the website is way more than that. As we increase the price as time goes on, because we create new ways to build more value for our customers and for our members, it doesn't matter what that price is because you're going to be locked in for life. And there's no hidden charges or hidden fees or price increases, anything like that. So you'll have all the free bonuses. Those will come out. We actually create new workouts pretty much every few months, so things will never get stale from that end of it. And you've got the 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you are on the fence, you're still not really sure, even though it's a pretty minor investment compared to what you're getting, you don't really have to worry. I mean, we've got a 30-day money-back guarantee. We have a very low rate. I think we're at about a 4% of the time we're giving money back. And it's not because it doesn't work. We've never had anybody say, hey, this just doesn't work, we want our money back. It's more around people are, they just lost their job or, something else happens in their life and they absolutely can't afford it. And so they, even though it's a pretty small investment, and maybe they paid more than that because, we've got a webinar special today, but maybe they paid full price at some other period of time, but it's a very low rate. But just know that that's out there, so you really don't need to be concerned about, will I like this? It's zero risk. And I won't go into, I don't have time to get into all of these, but I want to show you that we get fan letters all the time. And these are just regular people, just like you, who love our plans. I mean, I got one email the other day. It's from this guy, and I think it's on here somewhere, but he told me that how much he loved the meal plans, and he told us that he was actually off all blood pressure medicines. And I literally cried because I was just so happy for this guy. I was so proud of him. To be in a position where you can get off of all your blood pressure medicines, what an accomplishment. And maybe you're not as overweight as this guy was, and maybe not as unhealthy as he was. But this stuff works, right? Clean eating, but being able to build muscle at the same time is just good for your overall health. And there's it just excites me to know how much opportunity is out there and how many people we can still help with this, because it just helps people, puts people in a better mood. It gives them more energy. I've heard people that come to me and tell me how much better they're sleeping. It's just amazing. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and start this timer. But just remember, you've got 15 minutes before the webinar special goes away. We've got a super low price. We're going to get into some Q&A here. There's a lot of good questions that have come out in the chat today. So start thinking about those if you haven't sent in one already. But if you're ready to get started, just go to bulkingdiets.com/webinar. That's a special link. It's going to take you to a special page to get it for $97. It's only going to be good for the next 15 minutes, but you'll get all the bonuses we talked about. You'll get the cuttingdiets.com membership as well. You're going to get it at this reduced price, and it's only good for today's webinar. I can't stress that enough. And the reality is we want people to take action, right? And so this, if you purchase within the next 15 minutes, this is really going to show that you're an action taker. And that's the type of member that we want. Those are the community members that we're trying to build, on our Facebook page and some of the other groups that we have. And, that's what we're looking for. So, if you came here just for free information, that's fine. We're cool with that. But if you're serious about building mass, spending 25 cents a day is very minimal. When you start to add up all these bonuses on top of the meal plans that you're getting, and including getting both the bulkingdiets.com and the cuttingdiets.com membership, you're talking about a $750 package, actually over $750 worth of content that you're getting. And it's super easy, guys. The sign-up process, it takes 30 seconds. You just plug in your name, you create a quick username, and you create a password, and that's basically it. Boom. You'll get instant access. So there's no waiting around. You don't have to wait till next week when we send our weekly Wednesday email. It gives you your meal plans. You don't have to wait for that. You're going to get instant access. You can literally be having the meal plans in front of you, including all those bonuses, in 60 seconds. It's that easy. So, just you won't have to do anything. Once you sign up, the meal plans will come to you every Wednesday, and you print them off. Sometimes people will pull them up on their phone, go to the grocery store. Other people would like to print them out, have a hard copy. Whatever, however you like to do it, it's totally up to you. Just go to bulkingdiets.com/webinar, and you will be good to go. It's a no-brainer price, so I look forward to seeing you guys there. So we're going to be jumping into the Q&A. Like I said, hopefully, I'm seeing some questions start to come in. So this is perfect. We should be good here. Give me 1 second. Okay, we're going to start going through these. I might not be able to get to all of them, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to go through these as fast as I can. We'll try to go through just, as fast as what we can, but still answering the question pretty thoroughly. So one of the questions is specific to this program, and you can ask questions about a program or just bulking in general, but this one happens to be for the program. It says, what if I work construction site away from home? Great question. The short answer is totally doable. You do need access to a kitchen. So if you're in a dorm room or something like that, it's probably not going to work for you. A lot of people will make all the food on Sunday, so they have it, kind of all laid out in Tupperware for the week. You could even do that with dinners, although sometimes it's nice to have, a hot, freshly cooked meal for dinner. But you could cook them all on Wednesdays or on Sundays for the week if you wanted. But you definitely have to have a kitchen. But as far as being on away from home, as long as you've got access to a kitchen at least one day a week, you should be in good shape. I'm a hard gainer and have a hard time bulking. Will this help? Absolutely. Yeah, we've got a lot of hard gainers. Like I said earlier in the webinar, you just would want to set your macro ratio to be at an M2 ratio. Give yourself those extra carbs. But we've had some serious results happen from those. I think it was a type 3 type of person. Do I have to follow timing in order for these to work? I'm not sure exactly what you mean there, John. I think what you're saying is you have to eat them in the order that they're laid out on the meal plan. If that is your question, and if it's not, just let me know in the chat box. But if that is your question, no, there's complete flexibility. Everybody's got a different schedule, and so it doesn't really matter. I think some of the key things from a timing perspective is you really need to have that post workout drink right after the workout, and you've got to eat the before bedtime snack right before bed or within reason, preferably within the last hour of being awake. But other than that, you can do whatever you want. Your schedules are going to fluctuate day to day or week to week, and it doesn't really matter. You still want to try to have some spacing. You don't want to eat all of your foods for dinner, for example. You want to try to space them out, but you can eat them in any order. That's not critical. Are these mobile friendly? Absolutely. So they're designed to be able to easily print out or pull up on your phone. For me personally, I just pull it up on my phone. I go to the grocery store, I get what I need, and I'm out. Boom. Some people, they really like a hard copy. They get it on Wednesdays and they print it out and they've got it. And that's fine too. They put it up on the fridge. Sometimes I'll put the dashboard on the fridge. But you can do whatever works for you. They're definitely mobile friendly. So guys, keep in mind, this completely frees your mind. I mean, you don't have to clutter it with any complex formulas or anything like that. I mean, you don't have to write anything down. I know people that I see them, after they leave the gym or whatever, they bought like a protein bar, and then all of a sudden they're plugging it into some app. I mean, those work. You can get a similar result. It's just a tremendous amount of more effort, because what if you find out at the end of the day that you didn't hit your macro ratios? It's too late. Your app told you that, but it's too late. I mean, you've already eaten the wrong foods for the day. So I mean, this just takes all that guesswork out of it. And really, I can't wait to see you guys. I mean, seriously, after you sign up, and I hope you sign up, you've got about 8 minutes left. I send us your before pictures. We love nothing more than seeing those and watching you over time. And keep up, stay in communication with us. We're very active. You can contact us on Facebook. You can post on Facebook. You can send us emails. We want to see that. We want to interact with you, help you along the way if you've got questions about anything. We want to make sure that you're completely hitting all the goals that you want. And we even do, now that I'm thinking about the before pictures, if you send in the after pictures as well, and we end up featuring you on the website, which we do often, we do that several times a year. We pick quite a few people even. We'll end up giving you your money back, just as a special thank you for letting us use your pictures, and just as a special thank you for being a valued member. We'll actually refund your money. So a lot of people end up going and they don't even pay a dime for this. So one of the things I wanted to bring up is you can do two different things. You can do what you've always been doing. You've got a choice, right? You can keep doing that. But my guess is that you're probably not getting the growth as fast as you would like. I mean, if you truly were getting the growth as fast as you would like, you probably wouldn't even be on this webinar, right? But if you want to do something different, you want to do what the pros are doing and the strategies that work to get a lot of results, then you've got to rethink, and maybe try something new. I mean, do you really have time to figure out all of these macro ratios and calorie targets? I mean, my guess is not. If you do, all the power to you. The stuff works. You can do it manually. I mean, everything that I showed you, and that's why I showed it to you, in case you don't want to spend any money, you can figure all of that out. There's nothing that is so unique to our meal plans that you can't do on your own. But the thing of it is that's very, very time consuming. And if you're like me, you don't want to spend time doing that. I want to spend my time with my family and playing golf and having more personal time. We as Bulking Diets and CuttingDiets.com, we want to give you this map. This is a roadmap to get you the muscle that you want. So again, we've got a couple minutes here. I am going to go into some more Q&A, but again, we've only got a couple minutes left. So I encourage you to go on. It's bulkingdiets.com/webinar. $97 special price. So here's another question. How much do genes come into play? Certainly genes come into play. There's no doubt about it, but it's not nearly as much as most people think. I mean, I think a lot of people use that as a crutch. They see other guys or girls in the gym that are way bigger than them, and they themselves just make up an excuse that jeans is holding them back. They're not as big as they would like to be because their dads weren't big or whatever, and that's just not the case. It could have some factor into it, but it's definitely a much smaller factor than you probably think. All right, guys, this is going to be ending soon again. So if you're going to invest, now would be a good time to do that. I've got a few more questions here before we drop off, though. I've been lifting for a while now, but I've stopped making gains. Will this help? Most likely. Yeah, there's no way I could give you a definitive yes, but for the most part, all of the people that I've talked to that have done our meal plans have used them. Or all the people that I've talked to that have had plateaus have used these have gotten past that. And so what happens is your body gets used to a lot of routine, and so you're probably a lot of people end up eating the same foods day in day out, and then they gain some muscle, they're pretty excited, and then it just stops, and they're like, well, what's going on, man? Like, where's my muscle growth? Why did it stop? They use our meal plans, all this variety. I mean, every week is completely different with all these new foods, and it just totally jump starts that body to start building that muscle again. Let's see, what else do we have here? What about foods I don't like? I talked about that a little bit earlier. There's the substitution list. You just swap out one for the other, no big deal. Do you ever mail the meal plans? We do not. No, everything is a digital download, including the bonuses. So every Wednesday you would get your meal plans delivered to you. And remember, guys, the normal price for this just the bulking meal plans itself is over $200. Not to mention the fact that you're getting the cutting membership, you're getting all those bonuses. So I know funds are really limited. I get it. We all are trying to be very particular with our money. I completely understand, and that's exactly why we wanted to give this away for such a low investment. We understand that there's money doesn't grow on trees. So if I sign up in a few weeks, can I still get the plans? Yes, you absolutely can get the meal plans. You just can't get them at this price. So this is a webinar special, and you've got a couple minutes left to get in at the reduced rate. But no, if you come back in a few weeks, you can go and sign up, but you'll pay the full price at that point. Will this program work if I have a family? Yeah, we touched on it earlier. I've got a family. I've got a wife. I've got 3 kids. We all eat these foods. I don't put protein powder in my kids' smoothies, but all of the snacks and lunches and especially dinners, we all eat. Okay, the timer is going to be running out here, and it looks like we've got about 2 minutes only. But you can still get it. You can get this for the special price. It's $97. As a reminder, all you have to do is go to the link, bulkingdiets.com/webinar. So it's super fast. Again, it'll take you 30 seconds to sign up, but I mean, you can do the whole thing. You can sign up, have downloaded your meal plans before this counter goes off. I mean, you've got a minute and a half left, but literally in 60 seconds, you could have your meal plans in front of you. It's literally instant access, and then every Wednesday from there on out, you'll get your meal plans. So we're going to be wrapping this up here. I'll take a couple more questions. How often should I lift? It depends. Because of time, I can't get into too much detail. The program that we have here, the meal plans, as part of the bonuses, you get a lot of workouts. So I would just follow those. A lot of them would be like a split, like Monday, Tuesday with Wednesday off, and then Thursday, Friday. Some of them are a Monday, Wednesday, Friday program. And so, again, it's good to have diversity there. And that's why I mentioned we try to come out with a couple new workouts. I think we do maybe 6 new workouts every year. So you could actually go a whole year without ever doing the same workout for more than one phase, each phase being like 2 months. It's good to mix that up. How much cardio do you recommend? Well, for bulking, not a whole lot. To be honest, you can do bulking without it. We like to promote some cardio because it is good for you. And so that cardio guide that you get free with this membership, it's going to have all the details that you would need on how much cardio. All right, the timer is up, but as long as this webinar is still going, as long as I'm still talking, I'll honor the $97 cost. Once we kind of close this out here over the next minute, then that's when the price will go away. So if you're still on, you still want to buy, you still have another minute or so. I just want to wrap this up by saying thank you. Thank you for sticking around to the end and listening to this. Hopefully you got something valuable out of this. We really want you to take action, and one of the great ways to do that is to pick up these meal plans. But even if you don't, we understand, and there's no hard feelings, right? Hopefully you still got some benefit, right, out of the training, understanding of what to eat, how to eat it, and all of that. So, if you've signed up, we really, really thank you for that. We really look forward to learning more about you guys. Again, make sure if you've signed up that you shoot some before pictures. You can just hit reply to the welcome email and throw them on there. We love to have those and be able to just see your progress over time. And so we look forward to that. And we just want to really look forward to growing a relationship with you. So again, one last time, bulkingdiets.com/webinar. If you can sign up, we would appreciate that. And if not, no big deal. Make it a great day, everybody. Take care.